Hello, everyone. Mrs. Gonzalez Clark here. Today we are going to talk about area, finding area, and involving fractions within this area work. So we have a problem here today. This is an image that we are going to be focusing on. Just a very basic image of a picture inside of a picture frame, the picture being the sun. So, what the question is asking of us and is telling us is that an 8-inch by 10-inch picture is resting on a mat. So, this mat looks like a picture frame. The picture is laying on it. Now, the dimensions of this picture, now remember, we're only focusing on area, is the length is 8 inches and the width is 10 inches. So let's write that down. Let's write that down so that we don't forget that very important piece of information. So, oh, sorry about that. So we know area, okay, is equal to length times width. And in this case, just want to separate it if it will allow me to. Okay, perfect. So in this case, we have 8 times 10. 8 being our length, 10 being our height. Our width. Now, 3/4 inch of the mat shows around the entire edge of the picture. So from here to here is 3/4 inch. Pardon me. From here to here is 3/4 inch. From here to here is 3/4 inch. From here to here is 3/4 inch. Also from here to here, from here to here, from here to here, and from here to here. So what we have to do is we need to find the area of the mat that's not covered by the picture. So whatever part of this mat is not covered, we need to find out that amount and how do we even get that amount. So we first need to find the area of this. So we did that. We found out that the length is 8 inches and that the width is 10 inches. So when we multiply the two numbers, we get 80 square inches. Okay? So we get 80 square inches. Just want to kind of move this over. Okay. So there we have it. 80 square inches. So that is the area of this figure. Now, we need to find out the area of the larger figure, the mat that they refer to in the question. So we need to find out the length of this, and we need to find out the width of this. Now, the length is not indicated here. However, we have some very key information that will help us to find it. Now, we know right here, this section here is equal to 8 inches. However, we need to know this amount and this amount. Now, it told us that these parts are 3/4 inches. So since we have two of them to represent the length, we're going to take 3/4 and we're going to multiply it by 2. And once we multiply that, we get 6/4, which gives us 1 2/4, which is 1 1/2. So we know that the amount, sorry about that. We know that the amount represented by the length, this part is 8 inches. But if we combine the 3/4 here and the 3/4 here to that 8 inches, we're going to get a length of 9.5 inches. So that means the length of this mat is 9.5 inches. Okay, we knew that the length of the smaller shape was 8 inches, and what we did is we combined 3/4 and another 3/4, which was indicated here, to give us the total length of 9.5 inches. Now we need to find the width. So it's the same concept for the width. We know that this part is 10 inches, but we need to know from here all the way down here, all the way down to here, because the length, this width is longer than this width. So we know that, again, this is 3/4 and this is 3/4. So we're going to take the 10 and we're going to add the 3/4 and the 3/4, which we already did. We did it for the last one. So we know that 3/4 times 2 is equal to 1.5. So I'm going to take this 10 and I'm going to add the 1.5 to it, which gives me 10.5. Pardon me, 11.5. Sorry about that. 11.5. It's impossible for it to be 10.5. So now I know that in this figure, my length is 9.5 and my width is, why do I keep adding 10.5? Is 11.5. Okay, so now we know the length and the width of the larger area. So now we can find out the area of that larger mat. We know that the smaller mat is 80 square inches. So now we are going to find out what is the area of the larger mat. Okay, so again, area is equal to length times width. So we know that the length of the larger mat is 9.5 inches, and we're going to have to multiply that by the width, which is 11.5 inches. Okay, so we're going to change each of these fractions into improper fractions. So 9 times 2 is 18 plus 1. That gives us 19 over 2. And then 11 times 2 plus 1 is 22 plus 1, which is 23 over 2. Now we're going to multiply across, and we get 437 over 4. Now this 437 over 4 represents the area of the mat, the larger mat. However, we're not going to leave it in that format. So in order to put this back, we are going to divide 437 by 4. And when we do that, we get 109, and 25 hundredths. But we're not going to leave this as a decimal since we're working a lot with fractions. Think of a dollar. If I have a dollar is broken up into 4 quarters. So one of those quarters would be equal to a fourth. So I'm going to make this 109 with a fourth. So the volume of the larger figure is 109, I'm sorry, not the volume, the area in 1/4 square inches. Whereas the smaller area, the area of the smaller figure is 80 square inches. So we now have the area of both of these figures. So now we have the area of the two figures, and now we're going to subtract them. And once we find that difference, that's going to equal to the empty space that the problem is asking us about, the amount of the mat, the part of the mat that's not covered by the picture. So as you can see, I put the 109 1/4 back into its decimal form because I want to subtract 80 from it, which is the area of the smaller picture with on the mat. So once I subtract that, I'm left with 29 2/25 square inches. But I am going to put that back into fraction form. So again, we talked about how many quarters are in a dollar. There's 4, which means that 1/4, like which is represented here, is equal to a fourth. So my final answer would be 29 1/4 square inches. So the amount that is not covered by the picture is 29 1/4 square inches. So what we did today was we looked at this figure and we had to find the area. And the area that we found, that we used, that we had to find rather, involved fractions. So first we had to find the area of the smaller rectangle, and then we had to find the area of the larger rectangle. And once we did that, we subtracted the two amounts, which gave us this answer, which is equal to the amount of the mat that is not covered by the picture.